At the heart of hell, amidst the ever-churning fires and toxic smoke of the iron city of Deesh, sits the great black keep that houses the infernal War Council. This dark and towering structure is home to the greatest of hell's archdevils, 7 beings of immense power, each representing one of the 7 mortal sins. Known collectively as the heads of the Serpent, these devils, each a twisted manifestation of wrath, envy, pride, gluttony, greed, sloth and lust, command not just the armies of hell, but the very fate of creation itself. It is in this place that hell's military strategy is devised, and the devastating campaigns against creation are set in motion. Welcome back to the world of Trench Crusade, and welcome to the faction of the Court of the 7-Headed Serpent. The Court of the 7-Headed Serpent is the political body that oversees Hell's war against the mortal world, and it is through this court that the full might of Hell is directed. Each of the 7 archdevils that make up the court is a personification of one of the 7 deadly sins. These vices, once thought to be a mortal weakness, have been elevated to a position of divine-like power in the infernal hierarchy. Wrath is a fiery and destructive force, ruling through fury and violence. The Devil of Wrath is often the first to strike in any war, raining down destruction upon those who oppose Hell's will. Envy thrives in the shadows, scheming and manipulating, always desiring what others have. This devil is the most secretive and underhanded, preferring to destroy through subterfuge rather than direct combat. Pride, the most majestic of the arrogant of sins, believes itself to be above all others. The devil of pride leads with an iron fist, demanding absolute loyalty and admiration from all beneath them. Gluttony consumes everything in its path, an insatiable hunger that knows no bounds. The devil of gluttony, Beelzebub, is the most powerful of all, ruling through sheer access and indulgence. His influence felt across both hell and creation. For this reason, he has separated himself from the Court of the 7 and refuses to take his seat among them. Greed drives its followers to hoard wealth, power and influence. Mammon, the devil of greed, is the only one among the heads who has held his position for an extended period, using his vast riches and influence to maintain his power. Sloth is a lethargic, apathetic force that seeks to drain the energy and willpower of those it touches. The devil of sloth is often underestimated, but their subtle manipulations can bring even the mightiest warriors to a standstill. Lust is the embodiment of carnal desires and temptation. The devil of lust uses seduction and persuasion to manipulate others, driving them to fulfill their basest desires, often at the cost of their morals and lives. The Court of the 7-Headed Serpent is far from a stable institution. Despite its monumental authority, the leadership within the court is in constant flux. The positions of the 7 heads are highly coveted, and each devil vies for dominance over the others. Power in hell is fickle, and only the most ruthless and cunning can maintain their place at the top. As such, the political landscape of the court is one of constant maneuvering, betrayal, and warfare, even among the devils themselves. The devil of greed, Mammon, is the only one who has managed to hold his position for a significant length of time, largely due to his immense wealth and influence. Mammon's wealth grants him a vast network of spies, allies, and resources, allowing him to stay ahead of his rivals. However, the other positions are subject to frequent turnover. Dukes, margraves, barons, and other infernal nobles constantly fight for power, with each of them hoping to seize one of the 7 heads for themselves. This power struggle is reflected not only in the actions of the devils themselves, but also in the mortal world, where ambitious demon lords seek to exploit the chaos for their own gain. One of the key aspects of this political instability is the constant rebuilding of the statues of the 7 heads. These statues, massive and imposing, are erected by Yoke fiends who labour tirelessly to honour the current rulers of the court. However, as the balance of power shifts, These statues are often torn down and replaced by new ones, symbolizing the rise and fall of the various devils. They are treated as sacred icons and are also reminders of the transient nature of the power in hell. The cycle of construction and destruction represents the ever-changing political dynamics of the court. The primary function of the Court of the Seven-Headed Serpent is to direct hell's war against creation. Under the guidance of the court, the warbands of hell are summoned to the mortal realm, where they wreak havoc and spread corruption. These warbands consist of a variety of infernal creatures, including the formidable Hell Knights, Desecrated Saints, and Yoke fiends, each playing a different role in the infernal armory. The warbands of the court have had a profound impact on the mortal world, particularly since the opening of the Gate of Hell during the ultimate heresy of the Templars. This cataclysmic event allowed the forces of hell to spill forth into the mortal realm, where they crushed mortal armies and left devastation in their wake. Cities and villages were wiped out, and survivors were either converted into heretics or left to rot in the wake of hell's wrath. The warbands led by the devils of the court are highly unpredictable in their actions. A praetor may strike at seemingly insignificant villages, causing immense destruction, only to turn and betray their own mortal allies. Sometimes the warbands clash with each other, as rival devils seek to expand their influence and gain more power. These unpredictable shifts in behaviour have caused chaos and confusion among mortals and heretics alike, who are left to wonder whether their leaders are truly on their side, or if they are merely pawns in a far larger and more twisted game. The warband's missions are often fueled by a desire to corrupt and disturb God's divine plan. The demons use goetic magic, which taps into the suffering of mortals to manipulate the fabric of reality itself. By causing pain and death, the demons harness the released energy to alter the world around them. This manipulation of reality is what makes the warbands such a terrifying force, as the very nature of the world begins to warp and twist under their influence. The Court of the Seven-Headed Serpent is the heart of hell's war against creation, and its politics are as brutal and treacherous as the war itself. The devils of the court wield immense power, but their rule is far from secure. Power shifts constantly, and even the mightiest of devils can be toppled by those with more ambition, more cunning, and more ruthlessness. As the war continues, the mortal realm is caught in the crossfire, with the warbands of hell laying waste to everything in their path. The court's influence continues to grow, and the future of creation itself hangs in the balance as hell's forces march closer to victory. The armies and warbands of the court are unlike anything seen before. Creatures of infernal design and heretics of ultimate loyalty make up these terrifying armies that breach the defenses of the faithless time and time again. Their ranks are made up of creatures such as Yoke fiends, Praetors, and Desecrated Saints. A Yoke fiend stands about 7 and 8 feet tall, a hulking brute of shivering fat and corded muscle, its body warped by infernal craftsmanship, its flesh is branded and scarred, each mark a declaration of ownership by some greater demon. These sigils, burned into their hide by the cruel hands of hell priests, ensure that no Yoke fiend ever forgets his purpose: servitude. Their skin, stretched over dense, ape-like limbs, is marred by deep carvings, the wounds never truly healing, festering as a reminder of their eternal bondage. The Yoke fiends bear features of beasts and men alike: great twisting horns like a bull, hooved feet that stomp the ash-covered wastes of hell, and gargantuan arms, thick as tree trunks, built to carry burdens no mortal could withstand. Their bones are unnaturally dense and forged in suffering, allowing them to withstand the most grueling torments. These fiends serve as the living beasts of burden for hell's war machine, hauling siege engines and dragging chains of captive souls. erecting unholy monuments in the name of their dark masters. But despite their strength, a deep self-loathing festers within them. They cannot bear to see their own reflections, for in their heart of hearts, they remember what they once were. Before they were bound by sin and corruption, they had been known for beauty, glory, and had a purpose. Perhaps as mortals, angels, or lesser demons who dared to defy their masters, now they are little more than slaves, shackled in both body and mind. When they catch glimpses of themselves in darkened pools or polished steel, they roar in anguish, their minds momentarily unraveling at the sight of their twisted, fallen forms. And yet, despite their hatred, they remain eternally bound to their masters. Their immense strength and resilience make them indispensable, and as long as the war against creation rages, the Yoke fiends will continue to march beneath the banners of hell, bearing their burden in silence and dreaming of a freedom that will never come. The existence of the wretched is one of unrelenting misery, their lives spent in torment and toil, under the rule of the 66 Lords of Hell. These wretched souls are the lowest caste in the infernal hierarchy, doomed to suffer in countless horrifying ways. Many are worked to death in the hellish factories of the 66 Lords, their bodies expended to fuel the ever-hungry war machine of the Great War. Others meet a fate even more ghastly, butchered for meat, their flesh consumed in grotesque rituals, or simply as sustenance for the monstrous entities that prowls the domains of hell. But the worst fate of all is to be sold to the agents of the Court of the Seven, dragged screaming through the Hellgate to a torment beyond mortal comprehension. Yet, for those desperate enough, a single, terrible path to freedom exists. The wretched may volunteer to serve in the legions of hell, though their existence as a soldier is hardly better than slavery. Branded with flesh-eating curses, their bodies are marked with sigils that devour their own skin should they attempt to flee. Their minds are warped and dulled by heavy drugs, stripping them of their will, while leaving their aggression intact. The heretic elites view them as utterly disposable, hurling them into battle with reckless abandon. Their death serves as a form of twisted penance, a final virtue that may earn them some dark reward from their infernal patrons, though such promises are rarely fulfilled. Yet, even this wretched existence is preferable from falling into the hands of the court. Lacking even a drop of demon blood, these unfortunate souls are seen as less than nothing by the infernal nobility. They are used as shock troops, thrown against the faithful in suicidal assaults. Others are reserved for torture, their agony fueling goetic magic, wielded by the sorcerers and warlocks of hell. Some are captured in hunts, stalked, and seized like animals, while others are sold in the heretic domains, traded as currency among the dark lords of the damned. Some are simply unlucky, foolishly stumbling into thin places where the veil between earth and hell is weak, only to be dragged into the abyss. Regardless of their path, the wretched exist only to suffer, their only escape lying in death, a fate, for many, is a mercy too long denied. When the course of the seven-headed serpent rides forth upon the earth, a great pall of smoke precedes them, choking the sky with soot and sulphur, heralding an unspeakable doom, and lo, from within the darkness of that smoke, the air fills with the baying and buzzing of pit locusts, an omen of humanity's destruction. These vile creatures swarm ahead of the court, their presence a blight upon all that live, a nightmare loosened from the depths of hell itself. The origins of the pit locusts are shrouded in mystery and fearful whispers. Some ancient texts claim that they were once sealed behind a filth-encrusted bronze gate, trapped in the bottomless pit since time immemorial, awaiting the moment when the infernal key was turned in its lock. Others say they were once angels, lesser Ishim, who fell into depravity, sacrificing their celestial nature upon the altars of Baal and Moloch. In their blood-maddened frenzy, they feasted upon the flesh of children offered to the graven images of the old gods, forgetting the divine knowledge that had once been their birthright. Banished and cursed, they became monstrous, things that lurk in deep and dark places of the earth, awaiting the day when the great battle horns of hell would summon them forth. Whatever the truth may be, the opening of the Hellgate saw the pit locusts unleashed upon the world in terrifying swarms. With their feral cunning and wicked bloodlust, they tore through the ranks of mankind, reveling in their newfound purpose as tormentors of the living. During the first battles of the Great War, when the Levant was overrun, it was the pit locusts that broke the formations of the faithful, driving men into despair and chaos. Their role in these early victories earned them a grim reward, the right to hunt alongside the court of the seven-headed serpent. Now, wherever the court rides, the pit locusts follow, descending upon the vanquished like a living plague. They are permitted to take their share of the spoils, to gorge themselves upon the broken bodies of the fallen, feasting upon mankind as both a punishment and a feast. Their buzzing wings fill the night with an ear-splitting drone, a song of ruin, and their cruel laughter echoes through the smoke-filled skies. They are relentless, insatiable, and unholy, forever bound to the damned hunt, reveling in the suffering of those who stand against the tides of hell. Once they are righteous rulers and holy leaders, champions of faith and justice, dedicated to prosperity and the glory of their people. They sought to uplift their nations, defend their faiths, and leave behind legacies of greatness. Yet, in their pride, desperation, or a zealous pursuit of martyrdom, they strayed from the narrow path. Convincing themselves that the ends justify the means, they committed acts of unspeakable sins and atrocities born from what they believed to be righteous intent. Some sacrificed living humans, convinced they were fulfilling divine will, while others waged wars long after they were commanded to stop, unable to relinquish the power or their vengeance. Still more sought miracles through sorcery, turning to the forbidden arts in pursuit of divine favor, but in the end, each was cast down, their glorious ambition crumbling to ruin, and upon their death, their bodies were entombed within grand reliquaries, once meant to house their sacred remains. Yet, these gilded shrines did not carry them to eternal rest. They awoke in hell, entombed within these reliquaries, only to find that the very monuments meant to honor them had become their prisons for all eternity. Desecrated saints are now living trophies, kept as symbols of pride and conquest by the mighty devil lords who orchestrated their downfall. Their once revered reliquaries have been twisted and corrupted into grotesque walking prisons, built from the bodies of their most loyal followers and their greatest fallen foes, the devoted warriors and retainers who once pledged to follow their holy sovereigns beyond death have been fused into the hulking body of this abomination, their armor tarnished, their weapons corroded, and their souls trapped in never-ending dirges of despair. The longer a desecrated saint exists, the more it grows, accumulating countless bodies, broken blades, shattered shields, and shattered faiths, over millennia, forming an ever-expanding monument to corruption. These grotesque cathedrals of the damned are the prized possessions of hell's infernal nobility, and competition among the archdevils is fierce. Each seeks to claim the most magnificent desecrated saint, the one that displays the greatest prestige and infernal grandeur. With every new vanquished champion of Yahweh, the saint collects their shields, banners, and relics, hanging them upon his body in a mockery of the Tower of David. which was said to bear 1,000 shields. Now, instead of symbols of divine protection, these relics are gruesome trophies, reminders of the fallen and the forsaken. When the court of the seven-headed serpent rides forth, whether to make war or to hunt, the desecrated saints march with them. They serve as blasphemous war standards, towering testaments to hell's dominion over the fallen faithful. But more than mere symbols, they are weapons of unparalleled horror. The very presence of a desecrated saint warps reality itself. Within the aura of its profane existence, the laws of God begin to break down. Light dims, gravity distorts, and strength becomes weakness. Armor shatters like fragile glass, and the most holy, sacred relics lose their power, crumbling beneath the weight of the saint's eternal damnation. In the battle, the desecrated saint wields a terrifying arsenal. Once holy weapons and sacred artifacts, now twisted by the will of hell. With each swing of its warped and blighted blades, it brings ruin upon creation, channeling hell's power in ways no mortal heretic could ever dream of. Those who stand before it do not simply face death, they face the embodiment of shattered faith and relentless marches of damnation. The eternal reminder that even the holiest can fall. To the few mortals who have glimpsed a Praetor and lived to tell the tale, it is as if they have gazed upon the very devil himself. Their monstrous forms, their blasphemous presence, and the sheer weight of malice that surrounds them leave no doubt in the mind of the witnesses that have encountered one of hell's gracious lords. But this is not so. The truth is more wretched and cruel. Praetors are the bastard offspring, the unholy spawn of devils and beasts. Born of creatures such as hyenas, jackals, or wolves, their blood is tainted with morality, preventing them from ascending to the highest echelons of hell's infernal hierarchy. No matter their cunning or might, their beastly lineage brands them as a lesser being in the eyes of hell's nobility. Only through centuries of cruelty, ruthlessness, and demonstrating strategic brilliance can a Praetor hope to earn a position of true power. Until then, they serve as overseers for lesser demons, enforcers of infernal law, and hunters of the damned. Despite their low-born status, a Praetor is no ordinary demon. Their heritage traces back to celestial beings. Albeit fallen and tarnished beyond recognition, they stand towering over lesser creatures, their forms twisted, mockeries of divine grace. Each Praetor is born with 4 faces, reflecting the features of their angelic progenitors. However, the midwives of Lilith enact a ritual of desecration upon their birth, ripping away the human-like face, a deliberate act of scorn against their celestial ancestry, and a mockery of the Trinity. What remains are 3 bestial faces, each capable of independent thought and speech, and each a mouthpiece of deception and ruin. The 3 voices of a Praetor do not speak in unison, nor do they tell complete lies. Instead, they weave a web of deceit, each mouth layering subtle falsehoods upon the next. One may speak a half-truth, the second may twist it, and the third may cloak the deception in honeyed words. A mesmerizing harmony of manipulation, suggestion, and damnation. Those who hear the siren-like cadence of their speech find their will eroded, their doubts magnified, and their faith corroded. Many have been led to ruin, madness, or willing servitude, all while believing they are following their own free will. A Praetor's wings are a further insult to creation. Bearing the likeness of their bestial broodmothers, these leathery, nightmarish appendages are lined with fanged mouths, which vomit gore whenever human blood is spilled in their name. This fetid, defiled blood is no ordinary fluid. It is a potent fuel for the Praetor's sorcery, strengthening their goetic magic and allowing them to warp reality, bend minds, and summon infernal forces. Though Hell's nobility may look down upon them, Praetors serve a crucial role. Their mortal ancestry grants them a unique advantage. Unlike the rebel seraphim, they are not bound to the covenant of Hell. This allows them to slip into the mortal realm undetected, leading the hunting parties of the court without breaking the ancient accords that prevents direct warfare between heaven and hell. Because of this, they are the hand of hell on earth, enacting judgment upon the faithful and delivering false prophecies, plaguing mankind with ruinous hunts. When the court of the seven rides forth to hunt, it is often a praetor that leads the charge, his three voices whispering doom and its blood-stained wings dripping with the essence of past victims, and its eyes filled with the cold, calculated malice of a being that was never meant to exist. Atop towering spires that claw against the blackened sky of hell, the sorcerers of the court of the seven-headed serpent weave their terrible incantations, shaping the fate of their infernal lords. Within the depths of their scrying chambers, they enter trance-like states, peering into the veils of time and reality. Their insane, ululating chants echo across their master's fiefdom, an eerie, ceaseless cacophony that both torment the damned and calls their lord's warbands to battle. A mighty devil lord may command thousands of these sorcerers, each a fragment of something far greater. Each sorcerer is formed from a shattered sliver of a fallen angel, a remnant of those cast out of heaven in the Great Rebellion. These beings are not truly alive, nor truly dead. Frozen in the exact moment when their divine existence was severed, and stripped of their seraphic gifts, they have been reduced to shadows of their former majesty. Yet, their celestial origins still grant them immense magical potential. Though diminished, they remain powerful conduits for Hell's dark sorcery. Their pursuit for forbidden knowledge takes them to many peaked, nightmarish mountains of Hell, where the tablets of infernal wisdom lie hidden. Just as Yahweh had bestowed his laws upon the holy mountain, so too does Hell reveal its blasphemous truths upon the accursed summits of its own realm. These tablets hold secret spells of destruction, manipulation, and corruption, but to find them requires great effort and sacrifice. To locate such a priceless relic, the sorcerers rely on blind augurs and soothsayers, souls who once sought enlightenment only to wander too far and find damnation instead. Guided by the cryptic prophecies of these doomed seers, they pore over ancient lore and shifting maps. For Hell's landscape is ever-changing, its paths shifting like the coils of the great serpent itself. When the appointed time and place is finally discerned, an expedition is mounted, but it is no simple journey. The wilds of Hell are filled with eldritch horrors, and time within its depths ebbs and flows, stretching centuries into moments or collapsing eons into fleeting instants. When the expedition reaches the designated mountain, the sorcerer must ascend alone, and there, at the summit, if they are worthy, they may uncover one of the lost tablets of Hell's forbidden arts. Few return, but those who do bring back tablets of unfathomable power, which are then translated and studied by legions of damned demon scribes. Yet, such knowledge is powerless. Entire fiefdoms have been annihilated, their very essence unmade by the volatile forces within these artifacts. But, when success is achieved, a sorcerer ascends in power, mastering the goetic spells contained within the tablet. Their dark rituals are fueled by the agony of the wretched, either purchased in Hell's flesh markets or offered as tribute by mortal followers. Each sorcerer devotes themselves to the mastery of a single school of magic, and each one is tied to one of the 7 deadly sins. In this way, they become living conduits of vice and destruction, their spells shaping the will of hell and the doom of mankind. The hunters of the court of the seven-headed serpent are devoted practitioners of the left-hand path, forsaking all laws of heaven and hell in pursuit of their own dark enlightenment. They stalk the primordial hinterlands of hell, dwelling in the cancerous, ever-shifting wilds where reality twists and time itself becomes fluid. These hunters are both predators and prophets, using their mastery of vile auguries to discern omens and portents through gruesome rituals, disemboweling their still-living prey and reading the patterns of spilled entrails like divine scripture written in blood. The hunters navigate the secret paths of hell, following ancient ley lines that connect the ruins of eon-old shrines, battlefields, and forgotten kingdoms. These sites, once monuments of great wars and ancient pacts, are now overgrown with the blight of hell, ignored even by the scribes and cartographers who chronicle the abyss. But to the hunters, these places hold power, and in the solitude of their pilgrimage, they make appalling ablations, genuflecting before enigmatic forces whose names have long been erased, even from the memories of the archdevils themselves. Their left arms serve as both their weapons and brands of devotion. Transformed through horrific rites performed in the forges of pandemonium, into their flesh they drive nails of infernal iron, causing their limbs to twist and warp to demonic forms, often shaping themselves into powerful hunting bows that fire arrows of their own diseased blood. These accursed darts do more than kill. They paralyze and induce visions of the victim's inevitable demise, or worse, warp the target's mind until they willingly walk to their own execution. Draped over their bodies, the hunters wear the pale, star-speckled skin of oracle beasts, creatures that once wandered the burning plains of hell, gazing eternally at the doomed heavens above. Even in death, the eyes of these oracles remain open, embedded in the flesh of the cloak, ever vigilant, watching over their new master. Unlike the legions of hell, the hunters do not answer to the call of war easily. The devil lords may summon them, but the hunters heed no authority but their own. They are creatures of solitude, preferring the whispered wilds of hell over the crude conquests of the infernal courts. When a hunter does choose to join the hunt on earth, they move effortlessly through no man's land, just as they do in the wastes of hell, for the ley lines of damnation are mirrored in the cracks of fallen creation. Where they tread, omens turn to nightmares, and the hunted know their doom is nigh. Heretic priests whisper of these cursed warriors, claiming they were once lesser fallen angels or mighty immortal champions, granted infernal elevation only to be cast down once more for some perceived or genuine betrayal. Whether through arrogance, failure, or the fickle whims of their masters, they were exiled from the burning palaces of the pit, doomed to a fate worse than death. Their once glorious forms, alabaster and radiant, are now twisted and folded in upon themselves, warped 1,000 times over, crushed into a tomb of tarnished, jagged armor that serves as both prison and punishment. The sheer horror of their warped divine flesh is beyond mortal comprehension, and to glimpse within their armor is to witness the writhing abomination of celestial ruin. Glaring eyes of scorching light, and shrieking blasphemous mouths, and twisting pulsing organs crushed into a space barely 1/10 of their original size. Their every breath is agony, and their every movement a reminder of splendor they have lost forever. Though physically diminished, their inordinate pride remains unbroken. They brook no insolence from the wretched mortals that serve them, and their mere presence demands absolute submission. Once they are privy to the great secrets of creation, but now their minds are clotted with endless blood, a fractured consciousness bent into a singular, jagged prism of murderous obsession. To them, the earthly realm is a torment, a cold and suffocating exile, as unbearable as the hell flames are to mankind. Yet, even in this diminished state, they remain terrifying, standing as nightmarish titans against the mortal soldiers who dare face them. These are the Hell Knights, and to them, the earthly realm is a torment, a cold and suffocating exile, as unbearable to them as hell flames are to mankind. Yet, even in this diminished state, they remain terrifying, standing as nightmarish titans against the mortal soldiers who dare face them. Though they are less than nothing compared to the exalted glory of their former selves, they are still unstoppable engines of slaughter, and their wrath a blackened echo for the divine fire that once burned within them. They are the bannermen of the court. They lead warbands into battle, and with their infernal might do their Dark Lord's bidding. Now, it is up to you. Shall you serve in the seven-headed court, within the rivals of politics, and fight for their warbands as they take more of the faithful land, or their war on creation? This is the court of the seven-headed serpent. Okay, so I won't lie, these guys are my favorite of the cursed, hellish factions. They are so cool. I love their designs. I love the Desecrated Saint, the Hunters of the Left-Hand Path. It's all really cool to me. And I'm really interested in the politics between them. Because how does pride allow itself to be overcome by envy or lust? And how does envy deal with these things? Obviously there must be so much fighting and tension between them. I cannot wait for that to be expanded further. And I just want to say again, thank you guys for getting me over 1,000. Now we're on 1,107, so still an insane amount of you people are watching, and I'm so glad that you are enjoying my content. And also, I seem to have a bit of a cold coming on, so if you think I sound particularly off, that's why. So I'm sorry for my voice sounding really weird. So I'm not exactly sure what to do next. I was thinking of making a video on paladins, or a video on the court itself and the demons, why Beelzebub is a separate entity. Mostly theory crafting. Why is Beelzebub not among the court? Why has he gone off and done his own thing? Or, well, obviously mammon, greed keeps us thing, that makes sense. But exploring the court in greater detail, or looking at the new Prussian Free State faction. And, of course, I will be making a video on Era whenever that gets fully done. Because that is, of course, Ireland, which is, of course, my home. And I cannot wait to see what they do with that. I've been looking at the sketches from Mike, and it looks so good. I love how it's done, except for the fact that he's a ginger, and we don't want that. Other than that, I will put up a poll with ideas for the next video, and I'll let you guys choose what you want to hear about the most, and then I'll make that video. So thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.